For thousands of years, from around 3100 BC when Upper and Lower Egypt were united, all the way to 30 BC with the death of Cleopatra and the Roman conquest, ancient Egypt stood as one of the most powerful and mysterious civilizations on Earth. It was a place of incredible achievements, leaving behind huge monuments, complex writing, and a culture deeply connected to the stars. When we look at the colossal pyramids of Giza, especially the Great Pyramid, which was built around 2580–2560 BC, or the intricate carvings inside ancient tombs, a question often comes to mind. How did they do it? How did a civilization, seemingly so early in human history, reach such a peak of knowledge and engineering? Mainstream historians and archaeologists give us detailed explanations, talking about hard work, clever tools, and a deep understanding of basic physics. They point to the millions of man-hours, the vast armies of laborers, and the simple but effective methods used to move heavy stones. But for many others, these explanations simply don't quite fit the puzzle. They look at the sheer scale, the incredible precision, and the advanced astronomical knowledge, and they ask, was there something more? Was there help from somewhere else? This is where the ancient alien theory steps in, suggesting that advanced beings from other planets visited Earth thousands of years ago. These beings, far more intelligent and technologically advanced than humans at the time, supposedly shared their knowledge, their tools, and even their DNA with early humans. In the context of ancient Egypt, this theory proposes that the gods worshipped by the Egyptians were not mythical beings, but actual extraterrestrial visitors who were mistaken for deities due to their superior capabilities. Imagine trying to explain a smartphone to someone from the Stone Age. They would probably think it was magic or that you were a god. Ancient alien theorists suggest a similar scenario played out in ancient Egypt. When these visitors appeared, perhaps in flying crafts, performing feats that seemed impossible, and sharing information that was far beyond human comprehension, it's easy to see how they might have been revered as divine. The rich mythology of Egypt, filled with gods who could fly, manipulate matter, and possess incredible wisdom, is often seen as evidence for this idea. Think about the stories of Osiris, Isis, Ra, and Thoth. They are described as beings with immense power, capable of creation, healing, and even bringing the dead back to life. They teach humans agriculture, writing, and the secrets of the cosmos. For ancient alien theorists, these aren't just myths, they're historical accounts, perhaps slightly exaggerated over time, of actual interactions between humans and advanced alien beings. The pharaohs themselves, who were seen as living gods, the direct descendants or incarnations of these deities, also play a key role in this theory. Their authority was absolute, derived from their divine connection. If the gods were indeed aliens, then the pharaohs would have been the direct link to these visitors, possibly even hybrids or chosen ones, tasked with governing humanity under their guidance. This idea gives a whole new meaning to the pharaohs' power and the respect they commanded. The sheer volume of unexplained phenomena in ancient Egypt, from the construction of the pyramids to the precise alignment of temples with astronomical events, fuels these questions. How did they achieve such perfect alignment with stars like Orion, or understand the precession of the equinoxes, a concept that took modern astronomy thousands of years to grasp? The theory suggests that this knowledge wasn't developed through slow human progress, but was downloaded, so to speak, directly from these off-world teachers. So, as we begin our journey into the mysteries of ancient Egypt through the lens of the ancient alien theory, we'll explore these incredible constructions, the enigmatic gods, and the powerful pharaohs. We'll look at the evidence that some believe points to an extraterrestrial influence, examining the stories, the symbols, and the structures themselves. This isn't just a story about ancient people, it's a story about what it means to be human and where our incredible intelligence and capabilities truly come from. Are we alone in our development, or were we given a helping hand from the stars? The answers might be hidden in the sands of Egypt. When you stand before the Great Pyramid of Giza, built for Pharaoh Khufu, it's hard not to feel small. This incredible structure, which stood as the tallest man-made building in the world for over 3,800 years, is a marvel of engineering. It's made of approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons, with some weighing as much as 80 tons. Modern engineers and builders with all our advanced tools would struggle to build something like it today. How did the ancient Egyptians do it? This is where the ancient alien theory finds some of its strongest arguments. Mainstream archaeologists explain that the Egyptians used ramps, levers, and a massive workforce. They moved stones on sledges over wet sand, reducing friction. They then carefully maneuvered them into place using simple pulleys and muscle. And there's strong evidence for this, including quarries, tools, and even workers' villages found nearby. But the sheer scale and precision still many people wonder. Consider the precision. The Great Pyramid is aligned almost perfectly with true north, with an error of only 3/60ths of a degree. This kind of accuracy would be difficult even with modern surveying equipment. How did they achieve this level of astronomical alignment thousands of years ago without compasses or advanced telescopes? Ancient alien theorists suggest that this precision points to an advanced understanding of engineering and astronomy that could only have come from an external source. They propose that these alien visitors possessed advanced navigation systems and knowledge of Earth's poles and celestial bodies that they passed on to the Egyptians. Then there's the internal structure of the pyramids. The passages are often narrow, perfectly straight, and lead to chambers that are almost surgically precise. The King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid, for example, is made of huge granite blocks that fit together with incredibly tight joints. Some of these blocks weigh up to 80 tons, and they were raised hundreds of feet into the air. How were such massive stones lifted and placed with such accuracy in such confined spaces? The official explanations involve slow, painstaking work, likely using sand and rubble to raise the blocks incrementally. But for the skeptics, it just doesn't quite add up. They ask, could anti-gravity technology have been involved? Or some form of energy that allowed them to manipulate heavy objects with ease? It's not just the pyramids themselves that puzzle people. Look at the stones used. Some of the granite came from Aswan, hundreds of miles away. Moving these colossal stones across such vast distances, especially the massive obelisks and statues, would have been an incredible feat even on land. But to transport them by river, load and unload them, and then position them with such exactness seems almost beyond human capability for the time. This leads ancient alien theorists to suggest that the Egyptians had access to technology that allowed for easier, perhaps even aerial, transportation of these materials. They might point to certain hieroglyphs that some interpret as depicting flying machines or strange tools. Another interesting point is the use of diorite, one of the hardest stones on Earth, for creating bowls and vases. These objects are incredibly smooth and perfectly symmetrical, almost as if they were turned on a lathe. Yet, the Egyptians supposedly only had copper tools, which are much softer than diorite. How could they have carved and polished such hard materials to such perfection? Mainstream explanations suggest long, painstaking grinding with abrasive sands and specialized drills. But ancient alien proponents argue that this level of craftsmanship required tools with diamond-hard edges or even laser-like precision, technology that would have been far beyond ancient human capabilities, implying extraterrestrial assistance. The sheer consistency of the construction across different sites and time periods also raises questions. While there were certainly advancements over time, the fundamental principles of massive stone construction and incredible precision appear early in Egyptian history. This suggests a foundational knowledge that didn't slowly evolve, but was perhaps introduced or taught at an early stage. So, when we consider the scale, the precision, the logistical challenges, and the apparent impossible aspects of ancient Egyptian building, the ancient alien theory offers a compelling, albeit controversial, alternative explanation. It asks us to look beyond conventional wisdom and consider the possibility that the builders of these monuments were not alone in their efforts. They might have been guided, instructed, or even directly aided by beings from the stars, who left their mark not just in stories, but in the very stones of Egypt. The ancient Egyptians worshipped a vast pantheon of gods and goddesses, each with unique powers, forms, and stories. From Ra, the sun god, to Osiris, the god of the afterlife, and Isis, the goddess of magic, these deities shaped every aspect of Egyptian life. They were depicted in various ways, sometimes fully human, often with animal heads, and sometimes with strange otherworldly features. For ancient alien theorists, these gods are not mythical creations, but literal descriptions of advanced extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth. Let's look at some common themes in Egyptian mythology and how they are reinterpreted. Many gods, like Ra and Horus, are associated with the sky and often depicted with wings or as hawks, powerful birds that soar above the earth. They are said to have flown across the heavens in solar barks or boats. For ancient alien proponents, these aren't poetic metaphors. They are descriptions of sophisticated spacecraft. A solar bark could be an advanced vessel powered by solar energy, or simply a craft that travels through the air like a boat through water. The ability of these gods to traverse great distances, to appear and disappear, and to travel between different realms, like the earth and the Duat, the underworld, is seen as evidence of advanced transportation technology, not magic. Consider Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, science, and magic. He is often depicted with the head of an ibis or a baboon, and he is credited with inventing hieroglyphs, teaching humans mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. He is described as a scribe for the gods, recording knowledge and mediating disputes. Ancient alien theorists propose that Thoth was an extraterrestrial scientist or knowledge keeper, perhaps a librarian or a geneticist, who imparted advanced information to early humans. His animal head might not be a literal feature, but a symbolic representation, or perhaps a part of an advanced suit or device he wore, or even a genetic marker. Osiris, a central figure in Egyptian mythology, is another intriguing case. He is said to have been a benevolent ruler who brought civilization, agriculture, and law to Egypt. He was later murdered by his brother Seth, dismembered, and then resurrected by his wife Isis. This story of a god who introduces civilization and then undergoes a dramatic death and rebirth is seen by some as a recounting of an alien leader who perhaps came to Earth, helped humanity, faced a conflict, and then was either healed by advanced technology or replaced by a clone. The idea of resurrection, or bringing someone back to life, could be interpreted as advanced medical technology far beyond ancient human understanding. Isis, Osiris's wife, is also highly significant. She is the goddess of magic, healing, and motherhood. Her ability to gather Osiris's scattered body parts and bring him back to life, at least long enough to conceive Horus, is a powerful act. If interpreted through an ancient alien lens, Isis could have been an alien with advanced biological or medical technology, capable of manipulating genetic material or using sophisticated healing devices that seemed like magic to the Egyptians. The concept of divine birth or immaculate conception that appears in many mythologies, including Egyptian, where pharaohs are often said to be conceived by a god with a human mother, is also reinterpreted. Ancient alien theorists suggest this could be a description of genetic manipulation or artificial insemination performed by extraterrestrial beings, leading to the birth of hybrid individuals who would become the pharaohs, thus creating a direct link between the gods and the rulers of Egypt. Even the physical appearance of some deities in certain hieroglyphs and statues raises questions. Some figures appear to have elongated skulls, larger eyes, or unusual body proportions, which some compare to depictions of extraterrestrials in modern culture. While mainstream archaeology explains these as artistic conventions or symbols, ancient alien proponents see them as literal representations of the visitors' true forms. So, when ancient texts describe gods coming from the sky, teaching humanity, performing incredible feats, and possessing knowledge far beyond our own, the ancient alien theory suggests we should take these stories more literally than we currently do.
These aren't just fantastical tales. They are echoes of a time when humanity encountered beings from another world, beings who were so powerful and advanced that they were worshipped as the gods themselves. Beyond the grand pyramids and the myths of gods, ancient alien theorists also point to specific pharaohs, unusual artifacts, and strange carvings as further proof of extraterrestrial involvement. These examples are often seen as anomalies, things that don't quite fit the accepted historical narrative and therefore open the door to alternative explanations. One of the most talked about pharaohs in this context is Akhenaten, who ruled Egypt around 1353 to 1336 BC. Akhenaten was a truly revolutionary figure. He abandoned the traditional polytheistic religion of Egypt, which worshipped many gods, and instead focused on a single deity, the Aten, represented as the sun disk. He even moved the capital city from Thebes to a new site he called Amarna. What makes him particularly interesting to ancient alien theorists is his physical appearance, as depicted in statues and carvings. He is often shown with an elongated head, a thin neck, a potbelly, and wide hips. His children, particularly the famous Tutankhamun, are also sometimes depicted with similar features, although less pronounced. Mainstream historians explain these features as either artistic stylization, a deliberate break from traditional art, or possibly a genetic condition that Akhenaten suffered from, such as Marfan syndrome or Froelich syndrome. However, ancient alien proponents suggest that these unique physical traits are not artistic choice or illness, but rather a truer representation of Akhenaten's actual appearance, which they believe was a result of him being a hybrid, part human, part extraterrestrial. They suggest that the elongated skull in particular is a common feature attributed to alien beings in some theories, and Akhenaten's unique features could indicate a direct genetic link to his gods. The Aten itself, the sun disk with rays ending in hands, is sometimes interpreted not as a sun god, but as a representation of an alien spacecraft or a celestial object associated with the extraterrestrials. Another fascinating example comes from the Temple of Seti I at Abydos, which was built around 1294 to 1279 BC. Inside, on a ceiling carving, are hieroglyphs that, to some observers, bear an uncanny resemblance to modern technology. These are often called the Abydos helicopters. In one section, people claim to see what looks like a helicopter, a submarine, and even some kind of futuristic plane or spaceship. Of course, archaeologists explain these as palimpsests, where older carvings have been plastered over and recarved, and over time, pieces of the older and newer hieroglyphs have flaked away, creating an accidental optical illusion. They show that by tracing the original hieroglyphs, the helicopter disappears and becomes two distinct, older symbols layered on top of each other. But for ancient alien enthusiasts, the resemblance is too striking to be dismissed as mere coincidence. They argue that these images are ancient depictions of advanced flying machines, perhaps seen or even used by the Egyptians under alien guidance. Then there are the Baghdad Battery and similar out-of-place artifacts. While the original Baghdad Battery was found in modern-day Iraq, the principle of ancient electrical devices is often discussed in relation to Egypt. The idea is that if ancient civilizations had the technology to create basic batteries, perhaps they also had more advanced electrical knowledge, which could have been taught by extraterrestrials. This connects to the theory that the Egyptians might have used electricity for lighting inside pyramids, as there is little evidence of soot from torches in many deep tombs. Finally, we have the advanced tools and cutting marks found in some Egyptian quarries and on certain statues. Some cuts on granite and other hard stones are incredibly precise, showing patterns and angles that seem to require circular saws or other mechanized tools. The Dendera light is another example often cited. This carving in the Temple of Hathor at Dendera shows figures holding what looks remarkably like a light bulb, complete with a filament and a cable connected to a power source, similar to a modern Crookes tube. Mainstream Egyptologists interpret this carving as a depiction of a jed pillar and a lotus flower, symbols of stability and creation often associated with serpentine deities in a mythological context. However, ancient alien theorists propose it's a literal depiction of an ancient electrical lighting device, a technology gifted by aliens, explaining the lack of soot in tomb chambers. These specific examples, whether they are the unusual features of a pharaoh, strange carvings, or impossible artifacts, serve as key pieces in the ancient alien puzzle. For those who believe, they are glimpses into a lost history where humanity was not alone, but rather a pupil of advanced beings from the stars. When we look at the wonders of ancient Egypt, like the precision of the pyramids, the perfect carvings, and the lack of torch soot in deep tombs, some people struggle to accept the standard explanations. They suggest that what we're seeing isn't just incredible human ingenuity, but evidence of lost technologies, advanced methods and tools that were far beyond what we believe humans possessed thousands of years ago. And for ancient alien theorists, these lost technologies are a direct sign of extraterrestrial intervention. One of the most popular ideas is anti-gravity or sonic levitation. How else, they ask, could stones weighing many tons be lifted hundreds of feet into the air and placed with millimeter precision? If you only have ropes, ramps, and muscle, it seems almost impossible. But if you could somehow manipulate gravity or use sound waves to make objects lighter, then the task becomes much more manageable. While there's no direct archaeological evidence of such devices, ancient alien proponents point to the impossible feats of construction as indirect proof. They suggest that the gods possessed this technology and either shared it with a select few Egyptians or directly used it themselves to build the most massive structures. Some theories even suggest that certain ancient temples and monuments were built on energy lines or using resonant frequencies that somehow assisted in the construction. Then there's the machine age that some believe existed in ancient Egypt. As we discussed, the precision cuts on hard stones such as granite and diorite are incredibly smooth and flat. If you try to cut granite with simple copper tools, you would barely scratch it. Yet the Egyptians managed to carve, drill, and polish these materials to an astonishing degree. One of the most common examples is the Dendera light. This carving in the Temple of Hathor at Dendera shows figures holding what looks remarkably like a light bulb, complete with a filament and a cable connected to a power source, similar to a modern Crookes tube. Mainstream Egyptologists interpret this carving as a depiction of a jed pillar and a lotus flower, symbols of stability and creation often associated with serpentine deities in a mythological context. However, ancient alien theorists propose it's a literal depiction of an ancient electrical lighting device, a technology gifted by aliens, explaining the lack of soot in tomb chambers. These specific examples, whether they are the unusual features of a pharaoh, strange carvings, or impossible artifacts, serve as key pieces in the ancient alien puzzle. For those who believe, they are glimpses into a lost history where humanity was not alone, but rather a pupil of advanced beings from the stars. When we look at the wonders of ancient Egypt, like the precision of the pyramids, the perfect carvings, and the lack of torch soot in deep tombs, some people struggle to accept the standard explanations. They suggest that what we're seeing isn't just incredible human ingenuity, but evidence of lost technologies, advanced methods and tools that were far beyond what we believe humans possessed thousands of years ago. And for ancient alien theorists, these lost technologies are a direct sign of extraterrestrial intervention. One of the most popular ideas is anti-gravity or sonic levitation. How else, they ask, could stones weighing many tons be lifted hundreds of feet into the air and placed with millimeter precision? If you only have ropes, ramps, and muscle, it seems almost impossible. But if you could somehow manipulate gravity or use sound waves to make objects lighter, then the task becomes much more manageable. While there's no direct archaeological evidence of such devices, ancient alien proponents point to the impossible feats of construction as indirect proof. They suggest that the gods possessed this technology and either shared it with a select few Egyptians or directly used it themselves to build the most massive structures. Some theories even suggest that certain ancient temples and monuments were built on energy lines or using resonant frequencies that somehow assisted in the construction. Then there's the machine age that some believe existed in ancient Egypt. As we discussed, the precision cuts on hard stones such as granite and diorite are incredibly smooth and flat. If you try to cut granite with simple copper tools, you would barely scratch it. Yet the Egyptians managed to carve, drill, and polish these materials to an astonishing degree. One of the most common examples is the Dendera light. This carving in the Temple of Hathor at Dendera shows figures holding what looks remarkably like a light bulb, complete with a filament and a cable connected to a power source, similar to a modern Crookes tube. Mainstream Egyptologists interpret this carving as a depiction of a jed pillar and a lotus flower, symbols of stability and creation often associated with serpentine deities.
This leads some to speculate about the existence of tools with diamond-hard blades, high-speed drills, or even laser-like cutting devices. Again, no physical tools have been found that match this description, but the finished products speak volumes to ancient alien enthusiasts. They might argue that such tools, if made of advanced alien materials, would either degrade over millennia or were taken away by the visitors themselves. The Dendera light carving, which we touched on before, is another prime example of lost technology. Mainstream archaeology sees it as a symbolic representation of Egyptian mythology. But to ancient alien theorists, it looks exactly like a giant light bulb. The bulb shape, the filament inside, the cable running to a power source, and even the insulators on the stand all seem to mimic modern electrical lighting technology. If this indeed depicts an electrical device, it would solve the mystery of how Egyptians lit their deep, airless tombs and tunnels without leaving any soot or smoke marks. If the Egyptians had access to electricity, who taught them? Where did the power come from? For ancient alien theory, the answer is clear. The knowledge and technology were brought from another world. Similarly, the precise astronomical alignments of many temples and pyramids suggest a deep understanding of the cosmos, far beyond what's typically attributed to ancient civilizations. How did they map constellations, track planetary movements, and predict eclipses with such accuracy? Ancient alien theorists suggest that this wasn't just observation over centuries, but rather a direct download of astronomical data from beings who already possessed advanced space travel and mapping capabilities. This download of knowledge would explain why such complex understanding seems to appear almost fully formed in early Egyptian history, rather than evolving slowly over time. Consider also the idea of advanced metallurgy. While the Egyptians were skilled in working with gold, silver, and copper, some artifacts found, or the sheer scale of the tools needed for certain tasks, suggest knowledge of alloys or metalworking techniques that are not fully understood. What if they had access to materials or processes that made their tools much harder or more efficient than simple copper? This could explain how they worked such hard stones. In essence, the lost technologies argument proposes that the ancient Egyptians achieved their greatest feats not just through sheer human will and simple tools, but through a secret or forgotten legacy of advanced science. This science, according to ancient alien theory, was either directly provided or demonstrated by extraterrestrial visitors, allowing the Egyptians to bypass thousands of years of technological development. It's a compelling idea that makes us rethink the boundaries of what was possible in the ancient world. We've journeyed through the monumental landscape of ancient Egypt, explored its enigmatic gods, and examined the puzzling achievements of its pharaohs, all through the lens of the ancient alien theory. From the impossible precision of the pyramids to the flying gods and the strange depictions of pharaohs, the theory presents a captivating alternative to traditional history. It asks us to consider a past where humanity was not alone, where our ancestors received a helping hand or even direct instruction from beings beyond our world. The core of the ancient alien theory, especially as it relates to Egypt, rests on several key points. First, the incredible engineering and astronomical knowledge displayed in structures like the Great Pyramid of Giza seem to be far beyond the capabilities of a Bronze Age civilization. The sheer scale, the perfect alignments, and the methods required to move and place such massive stones challenge conventional explanations.
Second, the detailed descriptions of Egyptian gods with their ability to fly, manipulate matter, impart wisdom, and even perform resurrections are interpreted not as myths, but as historical accounts of advanced extraterrestrial beings. These gods were seen as divine because their technology and knowledge were indistinguishable from magic. Third, specific anomalies like the Abydos helicopters or the Dendera light carvings are presented as visual evidence of ancient technology, flying machines, and electrical lighting that should not have existed thousands of years ago. And finally, the unique physical traits of pharaohs like Akhenaten with their elongated skulls are sometimes suggested to be signs of genetic manipulation or hybrid offspring, linking the pharaonic line directly to these extraterrestrial visitors. It's important to remember that the ancient alien theory remains highly controversial and is not accepted by mainstream historians, archaeologists, or scientists. These experts offer alternative explanations for every piece of evidence put forth by ancient alien proponents. For them, the pyramids were built by human ingenuity, hard work, and clever, albeit simple tools. The astronomical knowledge came from centuries of observation. The gods are powerful mythological constructs that reflect human attempts to understand the world and the heavens. The strange carvings are either artistic conventions, damaged reliefs, or simply optical illusions. And the lack of soot in tombs is explained by clever use of mirrors to reflect sunlight or by short-lived oil lamps whose residue has long since degraded. Mainstream science operates on the principle of methodological naturalism, meaning it seeks natural explanations for natural phenomena. When an anomaly is discovered, the first step is always to exhaust all natural and human-centric explanations before considering anything else. So far, according to mainstream archaeology, all the mysteries of ancient Egypt can be explained within the framework of human capabilities and historical context. They argue that attributing these feats to aliens takes away from the incredible achievements of the ancient Egyptians themselves. However, the ancient alien theory continues to capture the imagination of millions around the world. It taps into a fundamental human curiosity. Are we alone? Did intelligent life visit Earth in the past? The idea that our history might be far more complex and our origins entwined with visitors from distant stars is a powerful one. It challenges us to look at ancient texts and artifacts with fresh eyes, to question what we think we know, and to consider possibilities that lie beyond our current understanding. While the hard evidence for ancient aliens in Egypt may not convince the scientific community, the questions it raises are profound. It forces us to confront the sheer scale of ancient human achievement and wonder how much more there is to discover about our past.
Whether you believe in the direct intervention of extraterrestrials or in the unparalleled genius of ancient humans, the mysteries of Egypt continue to inspire awe and spark debate. The echoes of a forgotten past, whether human or extraterrestrial, continue to resonate from the sands of time, leaving us to ponder what secrets still lie hidden beneath the desert, and what truth, if any, do the ancient stories of gods and pharaohs truly hold. The echoes of a forgotten past, whether human or extraterrestrial, continue to resonate from the sands of time, leaving us to ponder what secrets still lie hidden beneath the desert, and what truth, if any, do the ancient stories of gods and pharaohs truly hold. When we look at ancient Egypt, what really makes us stop and wonder? It's often the colossal structures, the buildings that seem to defy what we understand about ancient technology. The most famous example, of course, is the Great Pyramid of Giza. It stands there, massive and silent, a monument to a past we can barely grasp. Think about it for a moment. This pyramid, built over 4,000 years ago, is made of an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks. Each block, on average, weighs about 2.5 tons, but some, especially those used for the king's chamber, weigh up to 80 tons. 80 tons! Imagine moving just one of those, let alone millions, without modern machinery. We're talking about a time before the wheel was commonly used for heavy lifting in Egypt, before iron tools were widespread, and certainly before cranes, bulldozers, or even steel cables.
Mainstream historians have many theories about how the pyramids were built. Most involve ramps, long sloping paths made of dirt and rubble, allowing workers to drag the stones up. But even with ramps, the logistics are mind-boggling. What kind of ramps? Straight ones? Spiraling ones? Each theory has its own problems. A straight ramp long enough to reach the top of the pyramid would have been larger than the pyramid itself, requiring more material and labor to build than the pyramid. A spiraling ramp would have blocked the view of the corners, making it impossible to ensure the pyramid's incredibly precise angles and alignment. And let's talk about that precision. The Great Pyramid is aligned almost perfectly with true north, south, east, and west. This level of astronomical accuracy is incredible for an ancient civilization. Its base is almost perfectly flat, varying by only a few inches across its entire 13-acre footprint. The joints between the massive stones are so tight that in many places you can't even slip a credit card between them. How do you cut and fit millions of irregular stones with such perfection, using only basic copper tools and human muscle? It's a puzzle that has bothered engineers and scientists for centuries. Ancient alien theorists look at these facts and say, this is impossible for humans alone. They suggest that the Egyptians must have had help, or at least advanced knowledge from a non-human source. Perhaps the gods of ancient Egypt weren't mythical beings, but flesh and blood visitors from another world who shared their technology or even directly assisted in the construction. They might have used anti-gravity devices to lift the huge stones, or some form of sonic vibration technology to cut and shape them with such precision. Some even propose that a form of energy weapon or laser-like tool was used to carve the hard granite of the sarcophagus in the king's chamber. A sarcophagus so perfectly crafted, it seems almost too difficult to achieve with simple chisels. The granite sarcophagus itself is another marvel. It's made from a single block of solid granite, a very hard stone, hollowed out and polished. The internal corners are perfectly square, which is incredibly difficult to achieve with hand tools. Imagine trying to make a perfectly square hole in a solid block of granite today with a hammer and chisel. It would be a monumental task, even for skilled stonemasons. How did the ancient Egyptians do it? The level of accuracy suggests a level of industrial-scale cutting and drilling that seems out of place for their time period. Consider the sheer amount of work involved. If we assume a construction period of 20 years, as some historians suggest, then workers would have had to quarry, transport, and place about 800 tons of stone every single day. That's roughly 12 to 15 blocks every hour, day and night, without stopping. This would require an organized, skilled, and incredibly efficient workforce operating at a pace that seems almost unbelievable, especially given the simple tools available. The arguments against solely human construction become even stronger when you look at other sites in Egypt, like the Osirian at Abydos or the Sphinx. The massive stones at the Osirian are so precisely cut and placed, reminding many of the quality found in South American megalithic sites, which also spark alien theories. The Sphinx, carved from a single gigantic block of limestone, shows signs of water erosion that many geologists argue would take thousands of years longer than its accepted age. This suggests it might be far older than conventionally thought, pushing back the timeline of advanced civilization in Egypt. To the ancient alien theorist, these are not just engineering challenges, they are signposts pointing to a hidden truth. The conventional explanations, while impressive demonstrations of human ingenuity, often struggle to fully account for the scale, precision, and apparent impossibility of these structures. They suggest that the how of Egyptian construction is not just a matter of lost techniques, but perhaps of technology that humanity only recently rediscovered or has yet to fully understand. The Great Pyramid, in particular, remains a powerful symbol of this mystery, a silent question mark carved in stone, asking us to look beyond what we think we know. The magnificent structures of ancient Egypt compel us to ask not just how, but with what. If the Great Pyramid and other monuments seem beyond human hands using simple tools, what kind of tools did they really have? Mainstream archaeology points to copper chisels, stone hammers, and sand as an abrasive. But when you try to replicate the precise cuts in granite, diorite, or basalt, some of the hardest stones on Earth, you quickly hit a wall. It's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to achieve the level of precision we see in Egyptian artifacts. Take, for example, the drill cores found in ancient Egyptian quarries. These aren't just rough holes, they show evidence of very high-speed drilling, even helical grooves, like a modern drill bit would leave. But how do you spin a copper tube fast enough and apply enough pressure to cut through hard granite like that? Copper is a soft metal. It would deform and wear down quickly.
Even with sand as an abrasive, the process should be slow and messy, not producing the clean, consistent cuts we find. Some of these cores even show evidence of a feed rate, how fast the drill was biting into the stone, that is incredibly high, suggesting a power source far beyond human muscle. Then there are the vast quantities of incredibly hard stone vessels. Thousands of these bowls, vases, and jars, made from materials like diorite, basalt, and granite, have been discovered. They are often perfectly symmetrical, with incredibly thin walls and intricate internal shapes that would be almost impossible to carve by hand. Imagine hollowing out a granite vase with a narrow opening using only a stone tool. How did they create such delicate and precise forms from such unforgiving materials? Alien theorists argue that this points to some form of advanced machining technology, perhaps using principles of sound, vibration, or even unknown energy sources to manipulate the stone at a molecular level. Consider also the Saqqara bird, a small wooden artifact found in a tomb at Saqqara. It looks remarkably like a glider or an airplane, complete with wings, a fuselage, and a tail fin. While mainstream scholars classify it as a ceremonial bird or a toy, some point to its aerodynamic design. If it were truly just a bird, why does it lack features like legs or a head, and instead have a tail fin that looks much like a rudder? Could this be a model of a flying machine that the ancient Egyptians either saw or were taught to build? The idea that they had knowledge of aerodynamics, even if only in toy form, challenges our understanding of their technological capabilities. And what about the Dendera light? In the Hathor temple at Dendera, there are carvings that some interpret as showing large light bulbs, complete with filaments and power cables being held by Egyptian priests. Mainstream Egyptology explains these as representations of a jed pillar, a symbol of stability, and a lotus flower, from which a snake emerges, representing fertility and creation. But to the ancient alien theorist, the resemblance to a Crookes tube or a light bulb is uncanny. They argue that these carvings depict ancient Egyptian knowledge of electricity and lighting, perhaps given to them by their gods. If ancient Egyptians had electric lights, it would revolutionize our understanding of their daily lives and technological advancement, explaining how they lit their deep, dark tombs without leaving soot marks from torches. The mystery extends to the tools themselves. Where are the advanced tools if they existed? Alien theorists suggest that these tools might have been made of materials that don't last, or were taken away by the gods when they left. Or perhaps the tools were not physical in the way we understand them, but energy-based or sound-based devices that leave no archaeological trace. They point to the saws mentioned in ancient texts that could cut stone with ease, far beyond the capabilities of copper blades. Even the humble mirror has been brought into the discussion. Ancient Egyptians used highly polished copper and bronze mirrors. But some researchers suggest they might have had knowledge of reflective surfaces far beyond simple metal polishing, perhaps even creating lenses or optical devices that are now lost to time. The precision of their astronomical observations, as recorded in various temples and tomb paintings, suggests a keen understanding of the cosmos, possibly aided by observational tools we don't know about. The Baghdad Battery, while not found in Egypt, is often cited in this context. It's an artifact from ancient Mesopotamia that appears to be a basic electrical battery. If such technology existed elsewhere in the ancient world, it raises the question of whether similar, perhaps even more advanced electricity could have been present in Egypt.
The lack of direct evidence for electricity in Egypt doesn't rule it out for alien theorists, especially if the technology was guarded by priests or gods and only used for specific high-level tasks. Ultimately, the unexplained tools and technologies of ancient Egypt force us to confront our assumptions. Are we underestimating the ingenuity of ancient humans and simply haven't discovered all their methods? Or is there something more to the story? The ancient alien perspective suggests that the gaps in our understanding are not just missing pieces of a puzzle, but evidence of an external influence that provided the Egyptians with a technological leap, allowing them to achieve feats that still baffle us today. The very stones and artifacts whisper tales of a knowledge that seems to transcend their recorded history, pushing us to consider a more unconventional explanation for their incredible capabilities. If the tools and structures of ancient Egypt hint at something extraordinary, then the stories of their gods might just tell us who provided that extraordinary help. For thousands of years, the Egyptians worshipped a vast pantheon of gods and goddesses, each with unique powers, forms, and stories. But what if these weren't just mythical figures born of human imagination? What if they were literal beings who descended from the sky, interacted with humanity, and were then remembered as divine rulers and creators? Ancient alien theorists often point to the descriptions of these gods. Many Egyptian deities are depicted with animal heads on human bodies: Horus with the head of a falcon, Anubis with the head of a jackal, Thoth with the head of an ibis. While mainstream scholars explain these as symbolic representations of animalistic traits or natural forces, alien theorists offer another idea. Could these depictions be attempts by early humans to describe beings who wore elaborate helmets or suits that made them appear non-human? Or perhaps genetically modified beings or hybrids created by advanced visitors? Consider the god Ra, the sun god, often considered the supreme deity. His myths tell of him traveling across the sky in a solar bark or boat. To an ancient alien theorist, this isn't just a metaphor for the sun's journey. It could be a description of a powerful spacecraft navigating the heavens. Ra's ability to bring light and life, to command the elements, and to travel between different realms fits perfectly with the idea of a technologically advanced being with powers far beyond human comprehension. Then there's Osiris, the god of the afterlife and resurrection. His story involves betrayal, dismemberment, and being brought back to life by his sister wife Isis. This tale of death and resurrection, often seen as a metaphor for the Nile's annual flooding and the cycle of life, could also be interpreted as advanced medical technology. Could Isis, with her magical healing abilities, be a skilled extraterrestrial scientist who was able to reassemble and revive a dead being using advanced alien medicine? The concept of resurrection through magic aligns surprisingly well with advanced biotechnology that might seem like magic to ancient people. Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, magic, and science, is another key figure. He's often depicted with the head of an ibis or a baboon, and he's credited with inventing writing, mathematics, and astronomy. He's also considered a scribe to the gods, recording their judgments. Alien theorists see Thoth as a prime example of an extraterrestrial teacher or knowledge giver. His vast knowledge and ability to impart it to humans could be seen as an alien sharing advanced scientific and technological information, accelerating human civilization. The sudden appearance of hieroglyphic writing, complex mathematics, and sophisticated astronomy in ancient Egypt, all attributed to Thoth, seems to support this idea. Many Egyptian myths describe the first time, or Zep Tepi, when the gods supposedly descended from the sky and established civilization. They taught humanity agriculture, law, and crafts. This golden age is often described as a period of direct divine rule before human pharaohs took over. For ancient alien theorists, Zep Tepi is not a myth, but a historical account of extraterrestrial intervention, a period when highly advanced beings arrived on Earth, helped primitive humans, and set them on the path to civilization. The sudden leap in human capabilities and knowledge that appears in the archaeological record around the time of ancient Egypt's rise could be directly linked to this first time of alien visitation. The idea of sky people or star beings is not unique to Egypt. Many ancient cultures around the world have similar myths of gods descending from the heavens to teach humanity. This global pattern, alien theorists argue, is too consistent to be mere coincidence. It suggests a common source for these stories, a common experience of contact with advanced non-human entities. Even the artistic depictions in Egyptian temples and tombs fuel this theory. Some carvings show figures with elongated skulls, large eyes, or unusual body proportions, which some interpret as non-human physical characteristics. While Egyptologists attribute these to artistic style or specific pharaonic lineages, alien theorists see them as potential portraits of actual alien visitors or their hybrid offspring. Another intriguing aspect is the concept of the Neter or Neteru, the Egyptian term for gods. These beings were often described as powerful, wise, and having control over forces of nature. Their abilities, such as flight, instant communication, healing, and manipulating objects, could easily be seen as technological feats rather than supernatural magic if viewed through a modern lens. The magic of the gods might simply have been technology so advanced that it was indistinguishable from magic to the ancient Egyptians. The stories of the gods of Egypt, therefore, become more than just ancient tales. For ancient alien theorists, they are historical records, encoded narratives of our past contact with extraterrestrial beings. These gods from the sky were not just worshipped. They were seen, interacted with, and remembered as the benefactors and perhaps even the direct ancestors of humanity. This perspective transforms mythology into history, suggesting that the very foundations of Egyptian civilization were laid not just by human hands, but by hands that reached down from the stars. If the gods themselves were visitors from the stars, then what about their earthly representatives, the pharaohs? The rulers of Egypt were not just kings, they were considered living gods, divine intermediaries between humanity and the heavens. This sacred status, coupled with some truly unusual pharaohs in history, opens the door to another fascinating part of the ancient alien theory: the idea of royal lineages with direct extraterrestrial connections. Among all the pharaohs, one stands out as particularly enigmatic and often cited by ancient alien theorists: Akhenaten. He ruled Egypt during the New Kingdom around 1353 to 1336 BC, and his reign was unlike any other. Akhenaten wasn't just a different kind of pharaoh, he was a revolutionary. He abandoned the traditional polytheistic religion, which worshipped many gods, and instead promoted the worship of a single deity, the Aten, represented as the sun disk. This was a radical change, shaking the very foundations of Egyptian society and religion. What makes Akhenaten so intriguing to alien theorists are his unusual physical depictions. Unlike other pharaohs who were shown with idealized, powerful bodies, Akhenaten is often depicted with a very distinctive appearance: an elongated head, a slender neck, drooping shoulders, a potbelly, wide hips, and long, thin limbs. His children, including the famous Tutankhamun before his later idealization, are also sometimes shown with similar features, especially the elongated skulls. Mainstream Egyptologists offer various explanations. Some suggest it was an artistic style unique to the Amarna period, Akhenaten's reign, meant to differentiate him from previous pharaohs. Others propose he suffered from a genetic condition, such as Marfan syndrome or Froelich syndrome, which could account for some of his features. However, none of these explanations fully account for the consistent, almost stylized exaggeration of these traits across multiple depictions of him and his family. Alien theorists see something else entirely. They suggest that Akhenaten's unique appearance might not be artistic license or a disease, but rather a more accurate portrayal of his true physical form. They propose that Akhenaten and perhaps his family might have had extraterrestrial DNA, making them hybrids between humans and alien beings. The elongated skull, in particular, is a feature often associated with ancient alien theories, as similar skull deformations have been found in various ancient cultures around the world. If Akhenaten was indeed of a different genetic makeup, it could explain his radical religious reforms. Perhaps he was trying to introduce humanity to the true nature of the gods, the extraterrestrial beings who were his ancestors or direct contacts. The Aten, the single sun disk, could be seen as a representation of a distant homeworld, or even the power source of the alien visitors, rather than just the sun itself. His choice to move the capital to a new city, Akhetaten, modern-day Armana, built specifically for the worship of the Aten, further supports the idea of a break from human tradition.
City of the Aten was constructed quickly, seemingly with an advanced understanding of city planning and architecture, further fueling speculation about outside help or influence. Akhenaten's story is not just about his physical appearance or religious beliefs. His reign was largely seen as a disaster by subsequent pharaohs who tried to erase him from history, literally chiseling his name from monuments. This deliberate attempt to forget him adds to the mystery. Was it simply because his religious revolution failed, or was there something else? Something deemed too dangerous or unsettling about his origins or teachings that later rulers wished to suppress? Beyond Akhenaten, some alien theorists look at the overall concept of divine pharaonic rule. The pharaohs were considered the direct descendants of the gods, chosen to rule on earth. Could this divine lineage be a literal family tree, tracing back to extraterrestrial ancestors who once ruled Egypt directly during the Zep-Tepi period? The idea that royal families across the world might have shared a common non-human ancestry is a recurring theme in ancient astronaut theories. Other subtle hints are found in various tomb paintings and texts. Some depict pharaohs interacting with gods in ways that could be interpreted as encounters with advanced beings rather than spiritual rituals. The emphasis on specific stars and constellations in royal tombs and temples also suggests a deep connection to astronomy, which could be linked to their supposed celestial origins. Even Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, had stories and legends surrounding her power and allure that elevated her almost to a divine status. While not directly tied to alien theories in the same way as Akhenaten, the emphasis on the divinity of the pharaohs as a whole, their connection to the sky, and their unique place in the universe is a central pillar of the ancient alien perspective. The theory suggests that the pharaohs were not just human rulers, but literally the pharaohs of the stars, carrying the bloodline and knowledge of their otherworldly ancestors, guiding humanity as part of a grander cosmic plan. If extraterrestrial beings visited ancient Egypt, bringing advanced technology and even interbreeding with humans, what would be the most lasting impact? It wouldn't just be pyramids or strange depictions of pharaohs. It would be knowledge. The ancient alien theory suggests that the rapid and sophisticated development of Egyptian civilization, particularly in areas like astronomy, mathematics, and medicine, was not a purely human evolution, but a direct gift of knowledge from these advanced visitors. Consider ancient Egyptian astronomy. They didn't just look at the stars, they understood complex celestial mechanics. Their temples and pyramids are often aligned with incredible precision to specific astronomical events, like solstices, equinoxes, and the rising of certain stars. The precise orientation of the Great Pyramid to true north, which we discussed earlier, is a testament to this deep astronomical understanding. How did they achieve such accurate measurements without telescopes or advanced navigation tools? Alien theorists propose that this knowledge was directly taught to them, or that the Egyptians had access to advanced observational devices now lost. The Egyptian calendar, for instance, was incredibly accurate for its time. It was a 365-day calendar, very similar to our own, based on the heliacal rising of the star Sirius, Sopta to the Egyptians. This required meticulous long-term observation and calculation. Mainstream science attributes this to centuries of careful observation, but alien theorists suggest a shortcut, that they were given the fundamental principles of celestial mechanics and timekeeping by beings who already possess this knowledge. Then there's mathematics.
The Egyptians used a sophisticated number system and understood geometry at a very high level. The construction of the pyramids and other massive structures would have been impossible without a deep grasp of geometry, angles, and ratios. They could calculate areas of complex shapes and volumes of solids, and they even had an understanding of pi, though not as precisely as later civilizations. Where did this advanced mathematical knowledge come from, seemingly appearing fully formed at the dawn of their civilization? For alien theorists, it's a clear sign of external instruction. The Rind Mathematical Papyrus, one of the most important mathematical texts from ancient Egypt, shows problems and solutions that demonstrate an advanced understanding of fractions, algebra, and geometry. While it shows the practical application of mathematics, it doesn't necessarily show the centuries of theoretical development you'd expect. It's almost as if they were handed a textbook and told how to apply the principles. Perhaps one of the most surprising areas of Egyptian advancement was medicine. The Ebers Papyrus, dating back to around 1550 BC, is one of the oldest and most comprehensive medical texts. It contains treatments for a wide range of diseases, details of anatomy, and surgical procedures. The Egyptians performed complex surgeries, including brain surgery, amputations, and setting broken bones with remarkable skill. They had a detailed understanding of the circulatory system, nervous system, and organ functions, which wasn't fully understood in the West until millennia later. How did they gain such advanced medical knowledge without modern diagnostic tools, microscopes, or a deeper understanding of germ theory? Their embalming practices, while focused on preservation, also gave them an unparalleled understanding of human anatomy. But the leap from basic anatomy to complex surgical procedures and effective pharmacology seems immense for their time. Ancient alien theorists suggest that the gods might have been advanced healers, sharing their medical knowledge and perhaps even providing advanced medical tools or techniques that are now lost or misinterpreted. Even agriculture, the very foundation of Egyptian civilization, is sometimes seen through this lens. The domestication of plants and animals, the understanding of irrigation and crop rotation, these were crucial for the flourishing of their society. Was this an entirely human discovery process? Or was it accelerated by guidance from more advanced beings who understood agricultural science and ecology on a grander scale? The overall narrative for ancient alien theorists is that humanity, as it was given a kickstart by these extraterrestrial visitors. They provided the seeds of civilization, imparting fundamental knowledge in critical areas that allowed the Egyptians to build such a sophisticated civilization so quickly.
This wasn't about giving them ready-made spaceships, but about providing the foundational scientific principles that allowed human ingenuity to then flourish. The first time, Zep Tepi, when the gods supposedly reigned and taught humanity, becomes less of a myth and more of a historical period of intense knowledge transfer. This perspective challenges the idea of linear human development, suggesting instead that periods of rapid advancement might be attributed to external stimuli. The sudden appearance of sophisticated knowledge in ancient Egypt, the precision of their constructions, and the depth of their scientific understanding are, for proponents of the ancient alien theory, too remarkable to be explained by conventional means alone. They argue that these achievements are the enduring legacy of an otherworldly tutelage, a gift of knowledge from gods who came from the stars to guide humanity's first steps towards civilization. We've journeyed through the sands of time, exploring the incredible mysteries of ancient Egypt through a very specific lens, the ancient alien theory. We've looked at the colossal and precisely engineered structures like the pyramids, questioning how they were built with seemingly primitive tools. We've examined the advanced knowledge in astronomy, mathematics, and medicine that seems to appear suddenly in Egyptian civilization. We've delved into the stories of their gods, interpreting their myths as accounts of extraterrestrial visitors, and even pondered the unique features of pharaohs like Akhenaten, suggesting alien lineage. Now, as we reach the end of this exploration, we're left with a profound set of unanswered questions. The ancient alien theory is, by its very nature, controversial. It asks us to look at our history not just from an earthly perspective, but from a cosmic one. It challenges deeply held beliefs about human ingenuity, religious origins, and the timeline of our own development.
Mainstream archaeology and history offer explanations rooted in human resourcefulness, gradual discovery, and symbolic interpretation. They emphasize the incredible power of collective human effort and the slow, steady accumulation of knowledge over millennia. But the questions persist. How do we explain the incredible precision of pyramid construction, the multi-ton blocks lifted to impossible heights, the perfect alignments, and the advanced stone cutting, all without the tools we believe were necessary? How did the Egyptians achieve such sophisticated understanding of the stars, mathematics, and medicine at a time when other civilizations were far less advanced? Are the myths of gods descending from the sky merely allegories, or do they hold a grain of historical truth, recounting encounters with beings from other worlds? For proponents of the ancient alien theory, these anomalies are not just unsolved puzzles, they are compelling evidence. They suggest that the gods were not supernatural entities, but highly advanced extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth in humanity's distant past. These visitors, they argue, either directly assisted in construction, shared advanced technology and knowledge, or even interbred with early humans, influencing our genetic and cultural development. The implications of this theory, if true, are immense. It would fundamentally change our understanding of human history, evolution, and our place in the universe. It would mean that we are not alone and that contact has already happened thousands of years ago. It would suggest that the seeds of our civilization were sown not just by our own hands, but by those from beyond our world. However, it's crucial to remember that direct, undeniable proof remains elusive. No alien spacecraft has been found in an ancient tomb. No clear alien technology has been unearthed that cannot be explained by human ingenuity, albeit incredibly advanced ingenuity. The evidence relies heavily on interpretation, reinterpreting ancient texts, artistic depictions, and archaeological anomalies through a modern technological lens. Yet, the enduring appeal of the ancient alien theory lies in its ability to fill the gaps in our understanding, to offer a grand, exciting narrative that connects humanity to the vastness of the cosmos. It encourages us to look beyond conventional explanations and to consider possibilities that expand our minds. Whether you are a skeptic or a believer, the mysteries of ancient Egypt continue to captivate. The Great Pyramids stand as silent testaments to an extraordinary past, their stones whispering secrets across the millennia. The hieroglyphs, once considered the language of gods, now invite us to decipher a deeper truth. The very existence of such a sophisticated civilization, seemingly appearing almost overnight, continues to be a source of wonder and debate. The search for answers continues. Perhaps future archaeological discoveries will shed new light. Perhaps new scientific methods will allow us to analyze ancient materials in ways we can't imagine today. Or perhaps the truth about our origins and the gods of ancient Egypt lies not in the past, but in our future, when humanity itself reaches for the stars and finally understands the profound, unanswered questions about our place in the cosmos. The echoes of a forgotten past will continue to resonate, urging us to keep looking up and wondering.
The echoes of a forgotten past will continue to resonate, urging us to keep looking up and wondering. And as we do, we can't help but turn our gaze back to ancient Egypt, to a civilization that, for many, seems to possess knowledge and capabilities that don't quite fit the historical timeline we've been taught. If we entertain the idea that advanced beings visited Earth, then it's natural to ask, did they leave behind any clues in the form of technology or scientific understanding that the Egyptians then adopted or were taught? Let's explore some of these fascinating anomalies. Consider the sheer precision of the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's not just a big pile of stones, it's a marvel of engineering that even modern builders would struggle to replicate without advanced tools. The base of the pyramid is almost perfectly level, within an inch across its entire 13-acre footprint.
The four sides are aligned with the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, with an incredible accuracy that points to a sophisticated understanding of astronomy and geometry. How did a society, supposedly without complex surveying equipment, achieve such pinpoint accuracy? This isn't just about moving big blocks, it's about placing them with an understanding of mathematics and the Earth's orientation that seems far beyond what's expected for the period. Then there are the stones themselves. Many of the blocks, especially those used in the inner chambers, are granite, a very hard material. We're talking about blocks weighing tons of tons, sometimes even hundreds. Cutting granite with copper tools, which is what traditional history suggests the Egyptians mostly had, is an incredibly difficult, almost impossible task. Granite is tough, it would dull copper quickly, and achieving flat, smooth surfaces, let alone precise angles and joins, with primitive tools would require an unimaginable amount of time and effort, bordering on the impractical. Yet, inside the pyramids, and in other ancient Egyptian structures like the Serapis Temple at Saqqara, we find evidence of cuts and shaping in granite that are so precise, so smooth, they look like they were made with laser-guided saws. We see drill holes that are perfectly circular, even in granite, suggesting a type of rotary drilling that far surpasses what's possible with manual effort and basic tools. Let's talk about the Serapis Temple a bit more. Deep underground, in dark tunnels, sit enormous, highly polished granite boxes. These boxes, some weighing over 100 tons with their lids, are made with such incredible precision that their inner and outer surfaces are flat to within a few thousandths of an inch. The corners are perfectly square, and the lids fit so snugly that it's nearly impossible to insert even a thin piece of paper between the lid and the box. What was the purpose of these boxes? And more importantly, how were they created with such astonishing accuracy? For ancient alien theorists, these boxes are prime examples of machining from a time when such technology shouldn't have existed. They argue that these aren't just sarcophagi, but perhaps sophisticated containers for unknown purposes, built using advanced techniques that were either taught to the Egyptians or employed by the visitors themselves. The Great Pyramid also contains shafts that point to specific stars. For example, one shaft points to Orion's belt, another to Sirius. This isn't just a coincidence, it shows a deliberate astronomical alignment. Why would a tomb be so precisely aligned with distant celestial bodies? For some, this suggests a deeper connection to the stars, perhaps a navigational beacon or a symbolic link to the home of their gods. The knowledge required to make these alignments, to track stellar movements over long periods, hints at a level of astronomy and mathematical calculation that again seems remarkably advanced. Beyond the large structures, there are smaller, equally perplexing artifacts. Consider the Dendera light carvings in the Hathor Temple at Dendera. These carvings depict what looks uncannily like enormous light bulbs, complete with filaments and power cables held up by figures. While Egyptologists typically explain these as symbolic representations of a jed pillar and a lotus flower representing creation, the visual resemblance to modern electrical devices is striking to many. Could these be pictorial representations of a technology the Egyptians witnessed but didn't fully understand how to build themselves? A light that the gods used, perhaps? Another intriguing artifact is the so-called Baghdad Battery, found in neighboring Mesopotamia but often brought up in discussions of ancient technology. While not Egyptian, it represents the possibility that ancient cultures possessed knowledge of electricity. If ancient people could generate electricity, even in small amounts, it opens up a whole new realm of possibilities for what they could have achieved. While the direct evidence for its use in Egypt is sparse, the idea that the gods could have provided such technology or demonstrated its principles is a compelling thought for ancient alien theorists. Then there's the Saqqara bird, a small wooden glider-like object found in a tomb. While officially described as a ceremonial bird, its aerodynamic shape has led some to suggest it might be a model of an ancient aircraft or a demonstration of aerodynamic principles. Could the Egyptians have been experimenting with flight, perhaps inspired by flying machines or vehicles witnessed from the gods? The idea might seem far-fetched, but when you consider all these anomalies together, the precision, the scale, the choice of materials, the alignments, a pattern begins to emerge for those who believe in an extraterrestrial influence. It's a pattern that suggests the ancient Egyptians were not merely building with ropes and levers, but were perhaps guided or even directly aided by beings with a far superior understanding of physics, engineering, and the cosmos itself. These aren't just random curiosities, they are impossible achievements that push the boundaries of our accepted historical narrative, constantly making us wonder, how did they really do that? The question of how did they really do that leads us naturally to who helped them. And in ancient Egypt, the answer always points to the gods. But what if these gods were not supernatural beings in the way we traditionally understand them? What if the elaborate stories, the incredible powers, and the striking appearances of deities like Ra, Osiris, Isis, and Thoth were in fact the ancient Egyptians' best attempts to describe highly advanced beings from another world? This is where the ancient alien theory truly takes flight, connecting the dots between technological marvels and the figures revealed as divine. Let's look at some of these gods and their legendary abilities.
Take Osiris, for instance. He is often described as a great civilizer, a teacher who brought agriculture, law, and culture to Egypt. He taught humans how to grow crops, how to brew beer, how to build proper cities. He brought order to a chaotic world. From an ancient alien perspective, this sounds very much like an advanced being arriving on a primitive planet and sharing knowledge necessary for a society to develop. He wasn't just giving moral lessons, he was providing practical, technological skills that accelerated human progress. His story of being resurrected after death, or put back together, could be interpreted not as magic, but as advanced medical technology, perhaps even cloning or sophisticated life support that allowed him to return from what seemed like the ultimate end. Then there's Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, science, magic, and the moon. He is often depicted with the head of an ibis or a baboon, sometimes carrying a writing palette and a pen. Thoth is said to have written many sacred texts, imparting knowledge of medicine, mathematics, and astronomy to humanity. He was the keeper of records, the divine scribe. If we consider Thoth as an alien, his role as a purveyor of knowledge fits perfectly. He teaches writing, which is a foundational technology for any advanced civilization. He understands the stars and mathematics, skills that would be essential for interstellar travelers. His magic could simply be the application of advanced scientific principles that were indistinguishable from magic to the ancient Egyptians. Perhaps the head of an ibis or baboon was merely a stylized mask or a description of a helmet worn by an extraterrestrial being whose true form was either too alien or too sacred to depict directly. Ra, the sun god, is another fascinating figure. He is often depicted as traveling across the sky in a solar bark or boat. This boat sails across the heavens each day, bringing light and life. What if this solar bark wasn't a mythical boat, but a technological craft? An advanced spacecraft, perhaps even emitting its own light or harnessing solar energy, could easily be seen as a sunboat by people who had no concept of modern aerospace engineering. The idea of Ra creating life or ordering the world could be a description of terraforming or even genetic manipulation, techniques far beyond ancient human comprehension. Consider also the Neteru, the term the ancient Egyptians used for their gods. Some linguists and ancient alien theorists argue that Neteru can be interpreted to mean those who came down or watchers. This etymology, while debated by mainstream Egyptologists, perfectly aligns with the idea of beings descending from the sky to interact with humanity.
These Neteru were described as powerful, wise, and sometimes even physically distinct from humans, possessing abilities that defied natural laws. The concept of flight is also prevalent. Many gods are depicted with wings or are associated with birds, like Horus with his falcon head. Horus, son of Osiris, is a protector and a king, often seen as a divine ruler. The falcon, a creature of the sky, could be a symbol not just of divine power, but of the ability to travel through the air. If the gods arrived in flying craft, it would be natural for the Egyptians to associate them with the most powerful flying creatures they knew. The gods also seemingly had access to advanced weaponry or tools. Descriptions of battles where gods used fire or light to defeat their enemies, or artifacts that glowed or made strange sounds, could be interpreted as advanced energy weapons or complex machinery. The Eye of Ra, for example, is a powerful and destructive force, often sent to punish humanity. Could this be a metaphorical description of a powerful energy beam or a weaponized satellite? It's crucial to remember that ancient cultures didn't have the scientific vocabulary to describe advanced technology. How would someone from thousands of years ago describe a helicopter, a satellite, or even a simple flashlight? They would use the language available to them: magic, divine power, celestial chariots, glowing eyes. The ancient alien theory suggests that the rich tapestry of Egyptian mythology is not just fantasy, but a distorted, awestruck memory of genuine encounters with beings whose capabilities were so far beyond human understanding that they could only be described as divine. These beings, whether intentionally or unintentionally, reshaped human civilization and left behind a legacy of monumental achievements and enduring mysteries. If the ancient Egyptian gods were indeed extraterrestrial visitors, then their myths and legends are not just fanciful stories, but perhaps fragmented memories of real events. These stories, passed down through generations, would be the only way for early humans to make sense of bewildering encounters with beings of immense power and knowledge. Let's look closer at how specific myths could be decoded to reveal glimpses of advanced technologies and direct instruction from off-world visitors. Consider the story of creation itself as told by the Egyptians. In many versions, the world emerged from a watery chaos, noon, and then a primeval mound or island appeared. Upon this mound, the creator god, often Atum or Ptah, arose or landed. From an ancient alien perspective, this primeval mound could symbolize a landing platform or a spacecraft from which the creator deity emerged. The act of creation could be interpreted as terraforming, the shaping of an environment to make it suitable for life, or even the genetic engineering of early life forms on Earth. The gods then proceeded to order the world, setting the cycles of day and night, bringing forth plants and animals. This isn't just spiritual creation, it sounds like a sophisticated ecological project, a deliberate design of an ecosystem. The legend of the sons of Horus is another intriguing one. These four deities, Emseti, Hapi, Duamutef, and Kebehesenuf, were often depicted as protectors of the deceased and their internal organs during mummification. They were considered powerful beings, often described with distinct forms and roles. If we think of them as an alien crew, each could represent a specialized role. Their protection could be a reference to advanced preservation techniques, perhaps even the use of cryogenics or advanced medical procedures that were part of a long-term plan for the dead or for preserving biological samples. The fact that they protect specific organs suggests a detailed understanding of anatomy and biology, knowledge that would be expected from advanced visitors. The Djed pillar is a powerful symbol in Egyptian mythology, often associated with stability and the backbone of Osiris.
It's frequently depicted being raised in a ceremony, often by a pharaoh or a god, sometimes with electrical-looking discharges around it. While Egyptologists interpret it as a symbol of stability and regeneration, ancient alien theorists propose a more literal interpretation.
Could the Djed pillar be a representation of an ancient power generator, a device that produced energy or perhaps even light? The raising of the Djed ceremony could be the activation of this device, a ritualistic memory of a technological process. The visual representations with lines radiating from the pillar certainly have a curious resemblance to modern electrical schematics or energy fields. Similarly, the Benben stone, a sacred stone housed in the Sun Temple at Heliopolis, is said to be the first object to emerge from the primeval waters, and the place where the creator god first landed. It was also associated with the Pyramidion, the capstone of pyramids. This stone, often pyramid-shaped, could be interpreted as a physical artifact of an extraterrestrial craft, perhaps a component or a core element, that became sacred due to its origin. Its association with landing and creation again points to an arrival narrative. The Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and rituals intended to guide the deceased through the underworld, contains numerous references to journeys, gates, and encounters with powerful beings. Some of these descriptions, especially those describing the deceased moving through different planes or realms, could be seen as metaphorical descriptions of journeys through space or even different dimensions. The spells themselves, with their precise language and instructions, could be seen as encoded protocols or data files necessary for interacting with advanced technology or navigating complex systems set up by the gods. Even the story of Isis and Osiris, with its themes of divine love, betrayal, and the restoration of a powerful ruler, could be reinterpreted. Isis, with her incredible magical abilities to heal and resurrect, could be an alien with advanced biological or medical technology. Her ability to gather Osiris's scattered body parts and bring him back to life, even if only partially, speaks to a level of scientific mastery that transcends human understanding. Her transformation into a bird to conceive Horus is also fascinating, perhaps a shape-shifting ability or the use of advanced genetic material. These myths, while steeped in metaphor and symbolism, offer a compelling narrative when viewed through an ancient alien lens. They tell a story of powerful beings who arrived from the heavens, imparted knowledge, established order, and left behind artifacts and stories that humanity has struggled to understand ever since. They are not just tales of wonder, they are potential historical records encoded in the language of belief and awe, waiting for us to unlock their true technological secrets. The consistent themes of celestial origins, advanced instruction, and seemingly miraculous abilities woven throughout Egyptian mythology suggest a common, profound source for these narratives, a source that points beyond the terrestrial boundaries of ancient human achievement. For all the intriguing connections that ancient alien theory draws, it's essential to acknowledge that the mainstream academic world, particularly Egyptology and archaeology, offers very different explanations for the wonders of ancient Egypt. These scholars have dedicated their lives to studying the hieroglyphs, the artifacts, and the sites, and they interpret the evidence through a framework of known human capabilities and historical development. Their explanations, while detailed and often compelling, sometimes leave certain questions lingering, which is precisely where ancient alien theories find their footing. Let's consider the Great Pyramid of Giza again. Traditional Egyptology explains its construction through the ingenious use of ramps, levers, and massive amounts of human labor. Thousands of workers, skilled craftsmen, engineers, and laborers toiled for decades to quarry, transport, and precisely place the millions of stone blocks. Experiments have been conducted to show how large stones could be moved using sledges over lubricated surfaces, and how ramps could have been built spiraling up the pyramid's sides or in a straight line to get the blocks to higher levels. The precision, they argue, comes from generations of accumulated knowledge, skilled stonemasons, and careful planning overseen by brilliant architects and engineers. Astronomical alignments are attributed to sophisticated observation and calculation methods developed over centuries, using simple tools like plumb bobs and sighting lines. The hard granite cuts and drilling? Mainstream archaeology suggests the use of harder stones like dolerite for pounding and grinding, combined with abrasive sand or quartz to cut and shape softer stones like limestone. For granite, they proposed techniques involving copper tubes or saws used with an abrasive slurry, slowly grinding away the material. While this is a labor-intensive process, scholars argue that with enough time and manpower, such feats were achievable. The Serapis temple boxes, with their incredible precision, are seen as the pinnacle of this craftsmanship, products of immense dedication and skill, perhaps using techniques that are still not fully understood, but were nonetheless human-derived. The dendrolite carvings are interpreted symbolically. The bulb shape is seen as a lotus flower, a symbol of creation, emerging from a jed pillar, which represents stability and regeneration. The filament is a serpent, representing fertility and life. The cable is the stem of the lotus. This explanation fits within the well-established symbolism of ancient Egyptian religion and art, where complex ideas were often expressed through visual metaphors. As for the gods themselves, Egyptologists view them as powerful personifications of natural forces, abstract concepts, or deified rulers. Ra is the sun, Osiris is the life-giving Nile and the cycle of rebirth. Thoth is the embodiment of wisdom and knowledge. Their incredible powers are understood as mythological exaggerations, reflecting the awe and reverence ancient Egyptians felt for the universe and their rulers. The stories of their teachings are seen as allegories for the development of civilization and the passing down of knowledge from one generation to the next, often attributed to legendary figures who were later deified. The term Neteru is understood as a term for deities, ancestors, or divine beings, and its etymology is often linked to roots meaning divine power or being strong, not those who came down. These conventional explanations are backed by centuries of research, countless archaeological finds, and the rigorous study of ancient texts.
They provide a coherent, if sometimes challenging, narrative of human ingenuity and cultural development. They emphasize the incredible resourcefulness, intelligence, and organizational skills of the ancient Egyptians, who, without what we consider modern technology, achieved astounding feats. However, even with these explanations, certain questions persist for many. How did they achieve such consistent precision across millions of blocks, without the aid of lasers or advanced optics? Why are there no clear, undeniable records, drawings, or detailed instructions explaining the exact methods for building the pyramids or machining granite to such tolerances? Why do some of the tools found seem insufficient for the work they supposedly accomplished? And if it was all human ingenuity, why does the peak of this engineering prowess appear so early in their history, seeming to decline or become less ambitious in later periods, rather than continually advancing? For ancient alien proponents, these persistent questions are not simply gaps in our knowledge, they are signs that the conventional narrative is incomplete. They argue that while human ingenuity is undeniable, the scale, speed, and precision of certain ancient Egyptian achievements strongly suggest an external, advanced influence that either augmented human capabilities or provided direct technological assistance. The academic divide highlights a fundamental difference in how evidence is interpreted, as evidence of extraordinary human accomplishment versus evidence of something more, something perhaps not entirely human. The debate between traditional Egyptology and ancient alien theory isn't just an academic one, it touches something deeper within us. The enduring allure of the ancient alien theory, its ability to capture the imaginations of millions, speaks volumes about humanity's innate curiosity and our constant quest for understanding our origins. Why does this idea that we were visited by extraterrestrial beings in the distant past resonate so strongly? One major reason is that the ancient alien theory offers a grander, more exciting narrative for human history. Instead of a slow, gradual climb from primitive beginnings, it suggests a dramatic intervention, a divine spark that accelerated our development. This idea can be profoundly appealing because it elevates our past from mere human struggle to an epic saga of cosmic contact. It suggests that humanity is part of a larger, interconnected universe, and that our history is far more complex and thrilling than we might imagine. It addresses a fundamental human desire for a significant place in the cosmos.
For many, the theory also provides satisfying answers to the unanswered questions that traditional archaeology sometimes struggles with. When conventional explanations for monumental constructions or advanced knowledge seem to require an almost impossible level of ingenuity with primitive tools, the idea of external assistance offers a simple, powerful solution. It's a way to bridge the gaps in our understanding, to explain the how and why of ancient wonders that continue to baffle us. The precision of the pyramids, the advanced medical knowledge suggested in texts, the incredible artistic and architectural skills. If these were all given or taught, it makes sense of what otherwise seems like a sudden leap in human capability. The theory also appeals to our sense of wonder and challenges established dogma. For centuries, our understanding of history, religion, and human development has been largely shaped by specific narratives. Ancient alien theory dares to question these narratives, to suggest that perhaps the gods were not supernatural entities, but flesh and blood or plasma and energy beings from other planets. This intellectual rebellion, this willingness to consider radical possibilities, is incredibly liberating for many. It encourages a critical look at accepted truths and opens the mind to a universe of possibilities that extends beyond the conventional. Moreover, the ancient alien theory is a profound exploration of what if. What if our ancestors saw things they couldn't comprehend? What if the heavenly chariots and flying gods were literal observations? This what-if factor taps into our inherent curiosity about life beyond Earth. In an age where the discovery of exoplanets and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence are becoming increasingly common, the idea that we might have already been found centuries ago is both thrilling and comforting. It implies we are not alone and never have been. The cultural impact of ancient alien theory is immense. It has spawned countless books, documentaries, television series, and online communities. It has inspired science fiction, art, and even philosophical discussions. It encourages people to look at ancient sites not just as ruins, but as potential puzzle pieces in a cosmic mystery. It transforms history from a dry recitation of facts into an ongoing investigation, a detective story spanning millennia. It makes learning about ancient civilizations exciting and relevant, connecting our distant past to our potential future among the stars. Of course, critics argue that this appeal can lead to a kind of God of the gaps reasoning, where any unexplained phenomenon is automatically attributed to aliens. They caution against projecting modern technology onto ancient cultures and stripping away the human accomplishment in their accomplishments. Yet, for its proponents, the theory is not about diminishing human achievement, but about understanding its full, perhaps divinely inspired potential. It's about recognizing that humanity's journey might be part of a larger cosmic plan, and that the gods of ancient Egypt, far from being mere myths, might be the first teachers in our long, ongoing education about the universe. The enduring allure of ancient alien theory is a testament to the fact that humanity's search for truth extends far beyond the sands of Egypt, reaching into the boundless expanse of the cosmos, forever seeking answers to who we are, where we come from, and where we are going. Our journey through the world of ancient Egyptian pharaohs and gods, seen through the lens of ancient alien theory, brings us to a compelling conclusion. The answers to humanity's deepest questions are rarely simple, and often lie at the intersection of history, mythology, and our boundless imagination. We've explored the incredible precision of the pyramids, the seemingly impossible cuts in stone, and the strange artifacts that defy easy explanation. We've delved into the legends of gods who taught, healed, and commanded the elements, interpreting their stories not as mere fantasy, but as potential echoes of encounters with beings from beyond our world.
The ancient alien theory, while often controversial and challenging to mainstream academia, serves a powerful purpose. It forces us to ask bigger questions, to look beyond the accepted narratives, and to consider possibilities that might reshape our understanding of human origins and our place in the universe.
It suggests that perhaps the foundational myths of many cultures, including those of ancient Egypt, are not just stories, but fragmented historical accounts passed down through generations, telling of a time when humanity was not alone, when we received guidance or intervention from visitors with advanced knowledge and technology. Whether these gods were indeed extraterrestrial visitors, advanced humans from a lost civilization, or simply the most brilliant minds of their time, their legacy continues to inspire awe and curiosity. The mysteries of ancient Egypt remain, offering a fertile ground for both scientific inquiry and speculative thought. We've seen how the impossible feats of construction, the detailed astronomical knowledge, and the sophisticated wisdom attributed to the gods all point towards a level of understanding that seems to exceed what we typically assign to ancient civilizations. The debate will undoubtedly continue. Mainstream Egyptologists will keep unearthing new evidence, refining their theories about human ingenuity and the incredible organizational skills of the Egyptians. And ancient alien theorists will continue to challenge these views, searching for the overlooked details, the anomalous artifacts, and the mythological interpretations that support their case for an extraterrestrial hand in humanity's development. Both approaches contribute to our ongoing quest for truth, pushing the boundaries of what we know and how we interpret the past. What remains clear is that the ancient Egyptians were a people deeply connected to the cosmos. They looked to the stars for guidance, built monuments that aligned with celestial bodies, and believed their gods came from the heavens. This enduring fascination with the sky, this constant upward gaze, is a shared human trait that spans millennia. It's the same impulse that drives us today to send probes to distant planets, to listen for signals from other worlds, and to ponder the vastness of the universe. Perhaps the ultimate truth about the pharaohs, the gods, and the monumental achievements of ancient Egypt lies not in a single definitive answer, but in the continuing journey of discovery itself. It's in the process of questioning, researching, and imagining that we truly grow. The echoes of a forgotten past will continue to resonate, urging us to keep looking up and wondering. And as we do, we carry forward the legacy of ancient Egypt, a civilization that, whether through its own genius or with the help of celestial benefactors, forever cemented humanity's gaze toward the stars, reminding us that the greatest mysteries often lie just beyond our current understanding, waiting to be unveiled. The questions remain, and the search for answers continues, echoing across time and space. The echoes across time and space that we spoke of earlier aren't just about ancient structures, they also involve ancient knowledge. Imagine a time thousands of years ago when people lived without our modern tools, without computers or even electricity. How did they know so much? This question is a central pillar of the ancient alien theory, especially when we look at the incredible wisdom attributed to the ancient Egyptians. Many people find it hard to believe that everything they achieved, every piece of knowledge they possessed, came purely from their own slow development. Some argue that parts of this knowledge, especially the really advanced bits, must have come from somewhere else, from someone who had a head start, someone from the stars. Let's think about their understanding of astronomy. The Egyptians were expert skywatchers. They mapped constellations, tracked the movements of planets, and understood the cycles of the sun and moon with amazing accuracy. Their calendar, for instance, was remarkably precise. It was based on the predictable annual flooding of the Nile, but also tied to the appearance of the star Sirius in the sky just before sunrise, after a long period of not being visible. This event, called the heliacal rising of Sirius, marked the start of their new year. To track this star so precisely, year after year, for thousands of years, shows a level of astronomical observation that seems incredibly advanced for people without telescopes or sophisticated instruments. How did they achieve such consistent, accurate data? Mainstream science tells us they developed this knowledge through generations of careful observation, passing down information from father to son, from teacher to student. They were a patient people, living in a stable society for a very long time, which allowed them to build up a huge store of knowledge. But for those who lean towards the ancient alien theory, this isn't quite enough. They ask, was it just observation, or was there guidance? Did someone, perhaps a visitor, give them a jump start, pointing out key stars, explaining cycles, or even sharing methods for tracking celestial bodies? Think also about their medical knowledge. Egyptian doctors were surprisingly advanced for their time. We know they performed surgeries, set broken bones, and even had a good understanding of the human body through mummification. They had remedies for various illnesses, some of which are documented in ancient papyri, like the Edwin Smith Papyrus, which details surgical procedures, or the Ebers Papyrus, which lists many medicinal remedies. They understood things about the circulatory system and nerve function. How did they gain such detailed anatomical and physiological knowledge without advanced diagnostic tools like X-rays or microscopes? The ancient alien theorists suggest that some of this medical wisdom might have been imparted to them. Perhaps the gods brought with them advanced medical understanding, or even instruments that allowed for greater insight into the body. The idea is that these visitors, being more technologically advanced, would naturally possess superior medical science and might have shared bits and pieces of it with early humans, or at least demonstrated practices that the Egyptians then tried to emulate. Then there's the sheer complexity of their writing system, hieroglyphs. It's a beautiful and intricate system, rich with symbolism. It didn't just appear overnight, it evolved. But the depth of meaning, the way it could convey both concrete ideas and abstract concepts, is quite sophisticated. Some proponents of the alien theory might suggest that the very structure of their language, or certain concepts expressed within it, hints at an external origin or influence.
Did a highly intelligent entity help them organize their thoughts and record their knowledge in such an enduring and complex way? And let's not forget the mathematical understanding required for their engineering feats. The ability to calculate angles, volumes, and areas with precision was essential for building the pyramids and temples. We see evidence of a deep understanding of geometry and arithmetic. While we have some ancient Egyptian mathematical texts, like the Rind Papyrus, which show their methods for solving problems, the sheer scale and accuracy of their constructions still makes some wonder if their mathematical tools were simply pencil and papyrus, or if there was something more, something perhaps taught to them. For example, the number pi, a fundamental constant in mathematics related to circles, appears to have been understood and used by the Egyptians, albeit not in the exact same way we express it today. The ratios found in the Great Pyramid suggest an awareness of this constant, and also the golden ratio, phi, which is also found throughout nature and art. How did they grasp such abstract mathematical concepts that seem to govern the universe itself? The ancient alien theory provides an answer that, for some, is more satisfying than simply "they figured it out over a long time." It suggests that these fundamental mathematical truths were not discovered through trial and error over millennia, but rather revealed by beings who already understood them. These beings, perhaps seeing the potential in early humans, might have offered them a shortcut to knowledge that would otherwise take ages to develop. Ultimately, the question isn't just about what the Egyptians knew, but how they knew it. Was it purely human genius, slowly accumulated and refined? Or was there a helping hand, a guiding intelligence from beyond our world, providing key insights that allowed this incredible civilization to leap forward in its understanding of the cosmos, the body, and the very fabric of reality? This debate continues to fuel the imaginations of many, drawing them deeper into the mysteries of ancient Egypt. Beyond the perplexing knowledge of the ancient Egyptians, there's a very tangible, physical puzzle that stands tall against the desert sky:
They're incredible constructions. We're talking about structures so massive, so precise, and built with such enduring quality that they challenge our understanding of what was possible thousands of years ago. The ancient alien theory often points to these monumental achievements, suggesting that human hands alone, with simple tools, could not have accomplished such marvels. They believe that the stones themselves whisper tales of advanced technology, perhaps even extraterrestrial assistance. Let's start with the most famous example, the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's a structure that continues to astound engineers and scientists today. It's made of millions of huge stone blocks, some weighing many tons, that were cut, moved, and placed with astonishing accuracy. The entire pyramid is aligned almost perfectly with true north, not magnetic north, but true north, an alignment so precise it's hard to achieve even with modern instruments. How did the ancient Egyptians manage this without compasses or advanced surveying equipment? Mainstream archaeologists explain that the Egyptians likely used astronomical observations, like tracking the stars and sun. They would have used simple tools like plumb bobs, set squares, and measuring ropes. And they organized vast numbers of workers along with ramps, sleds, and levers to move the heavy stones. It's a testament to human ingenuity and sheer manpower. But for those who believe in ancient aliens, this explanation often falls short. They ask, how could they lift and place multi-ton blocks with such perfect seams where even today you can't slide a razor blade between them? How could they cut granite, a very hard stone, with such precision using only copper tools, which are much softer than granite? Many proponents of the ancient alien theory argue that the tools we imagine them using are simply not enough. They point to the idea of impossible cuts or drills found in some ancient Egyptian artifacts, not just in the pyramids. They show examples of perfectly round holes drilled through hard stone like granite or diorite with spiral grooves inside them, suggesting a high-speed, powerful drilling technique. It looks like something you'd get from a modern industrial drill, not a hand-cranked device with copper bits and sand. If they didn't have diamond-tipped drills or electric motors, then what technology did they use? The alien theorists propose that these were not human tools, but advanced instruments provided or demonstrated by extraterrestrial visitors. Then there's the sheer size of some of the blocks. At the Aswan Quarry, for example, there's an unfinished obelisk that, if completed, would have weighed over 1,000 tons. Just getting it out of the quarry and standing it upright would be a monumental task even today. How were these colossal stones transported and lifted? Some theories suggest sonic levitation, using sound waves to lift heavy objects, or some unknown form of anti-gravity technology. These ideas, while sounding like science fiction, are presented as possible explanations for feats that seem to defy conventional engineering. And what about the Sphinx? This enormous statue, carved from a single outcrop of limestone, is another enigma. While its exact age is debated, some researchers, like geologist Robert Schoch, have suggested that the erosion patterns on the body of the Sphinx point to water erosion, not wind and sand erosion. If true, this would mean the Sphinx dates back to a much earlier period, thousands of years before the generally accepted date, to a time when Egypt experienced heavy rainfall. If the Sphinx is indeed that much older, it would mean it was built by a civilization far more ancient and capable than previously thought, a civilization whose origins are lost to us. And for the ancient alien theorists, this opens the door to the idea that perhaps this older unknown civilization was either taught by or was these extraterrestrial visitors themselves. The precision extends beyond just the large monuments. Even in smaller artifacts, like stone vases carved from extremely hard materials like diorite or diorite, the craftsmanship is incredible. These vases have thin walls, perfect symmetry, and polished surfaces that would be incredibly difficult to achieve with primitive tools. How did they create such delicate yet strong objects from materials that are tougher than steel? Another point often raised is the sheer speed of construction. While it took many years to build a pyramid, the scale of the work still implies an efficiency that some find hard to reconcile with simple human labor.
If they had access to some form of advanced energy or tools, it would explain how they managed to move such vast quantities of material and complete such complex projects in a reasonable time frame.
The ancient alien theory doesn't just ask how these things were built, but also why they were built with such cosmic precision. Many of the alignments of the pyramids and temples are tied to stars and constellations. For instance, the 3 pyramids of Giza are sometimes linked to the 3 stars of Orion's belt. Was this just a symbolic representation, or did it reflect a deeper understanding of the cosmos, perhaps shared by beings who traveled among those very stars? For the believers, these stones are not just monuments, they are messages. Messages encoded in their construction, their materials, and their alignments, hinting at a truth far grander than our current history books suggest. They believe that these ancient constructions are not just wonders of the past, but direct evidence of a time when humanity was not alone, when cosmic architects walked among us, leaving their indelible mark in stone for all time. If ancient aliens did visit Egypt, and if they influenced the pharaohs and shared their knowledge, what kind of tools or technology might they have left behind or demonstrated? This question leads us into the fascinating, speculative realm of lost technology, a concept central to the ancient alien theory. The idea is that these advanced beings possessed tools and techniques far beyond anything we'd expect from ancient civilizations. And traces of these might be found not just in the colossal constructions, but also hidden in plain sight within ancient Egyptian art, texts, and artifacts. Imagine a world where advanced technology isn't sleek metal and glowing screens, but rather symbolic representations, misunderstood by ancient people who depicted them using the only language they knew, mythology and art. For instance, some ancient alien theorists look at certain hieroglyphs and carvings and see not just religious symbols, but actual technological devices. A prime example is the Dendera light carving, found in the Hathor temple at Dendera. This carving shows figures holding what appears to be a large, elongated object resembling a light bulb, with a filament-like snake inside it and a connecting cable leading to a power source. To an ancient Egyptian, this might have been a symbolic representation or a god's power, but to an ancient alien theorist, it looks strikingly like an electric light bulb. They ask, did the Egyptians have electricity? Or did they witness advanced beings using some form of illumination that they then tried to record in stone, depicting it as best they could with their available understanding? Mainstream Egyptology explains the Dendera carving as a mythical representation of the dead pillar, a symbol of stability, and the lotus flower, a symbol of creation, with a snake representing the god Harsamtus emerging from it. The cable is a stylized papyrus plant. It's a complex religious scene, not a technical diagram. However, for those seeking extraterrestrial explanations, the visual resemblance to a light bulb is too strong to ignore, suggesting a memory of advanced lighting technology. Another interesting concept revolves around the tools used for stone cutting. As we discussed, the precision of cuts in granite and other hard stones is remarkable. If not copper and sand, what else? Some propose advanced cutting devices, perhaps powered by energy we don't understand, or even laser-like tools. The impossible drill holes mentioned earlier, with their perfect circularity and spiral grooves, are often cited as evidence for this. Could the gods have brought such tools, or taught the Egyptians how to make and use them? The stories of the ancient Egyptians themselves sometimes hint at unusual powers or capabilities. Their myths talk about gods who could fly, manipulate matter, and create things with ease. While these are typically interpreted as allegories for divine power, ancient alien theorists interpret them literally. They see descriptions of flying vehicles in tales of sky gods, or the ability to move mountains as evidence of advanced anti-gravity or energy manipulation technology. Consider the Waz scepter, often depicted in the hands of gods and pharaohs. It's a long, straight staff with a forked base and an animal head at the top. Traditionally, it symbolizes power and dominion. But could it be more? Could it be a symbolic representation of a tool, a device that emitted energy or had some specific function that was deemed powerful by the ancient Egyptians? Similarly, the Ankh, the symbol of life, is often seen held by gods. While usually interpreted as a key to life or immortality, some wonder if it too could represent a device, perhaps one related to energy or healing. The idea of sonic levitation is a recurring theme in ancient alien discussions. This theory suggests that ancient builders used sound waves, perhaps generated by specific instruments, to lift and move heavy stone blocks. While it sounds like pure fantasy, there are ancient stories from various cultures that describe priests or wise men using sound to move great weights. If aliens had technology to manipulate sound in such a way, it could explain how structures like the pyramids were built, seemingly defying the known laws of physics for the time. Ancient texts also contain references that, when viewed through an extraterrestrial lens, gain new meaning. For instance, the Palermo stone, an ancient stele, lists the names of early pharaohs and gives details about their reigns. But before the human pharaohs, it speaks of divine rulers, or gods, who reigned for thousands of years. While mainstream history regards these as mythical kings, ancient alien theorists interpret this as a literal account of extraterrestrial beings ruling Egypt, perhaps even a long period of direct guidance and shared technology before they departed, leaving humanity to carry on with the knowledge they had gained. The proponents argue that if we discard the possibility of advanced tools, we are left with enormous gaps in our understanding of how ancient feats were achieved. They believe that humanity has a tendency to forget or lose knowledge, especially after a period of direct interaction with a more advanced civilization. The lost technology, then, isn't something that was purely Egyptian innovation, but a legacy, perhaps dimly remembered and poorly understood, of a time when the gods walked among them, leaving clues in their art and the very fabric of their world. While the ancient alien theory offers exciting and grand explanations for the wonders of Egypt, it's important to remember that there's another, widely accepted perspective, the conventional archaeological view.
This perspective, held by the vast majority of historians, archaeologists, and scientists, credits the ancient Egyptians themselves with all their remarkable achievements. It's a story of human genius, hard work, innovation, and the slow, steady accumulation of knowledge over thousands of years. Let's revisit some of the points raised by ancient alien theorists and look at how mainstream science explains them. Take the incredible precision of the pyramids, for example, their perfect alignment to true north, or the tight fit of the casing stones. Archaeologists explain that the Egyptians were brilliant observers. They lived in a land with clear skies, making astronomical observation a natural part of life. By tracking stars like Thuban, which was the pole star in ancient times, they could establish true north with remarkable accuracy. They used simple but effective tools: sighting poles, measuring ropes, plumb bobs to ensure verticality, and levels made of water-filled troughs to ensure flatness. For moving the massive stones, the explanation involves ramps, rollers, sleds, and the immense power of organized human labor. Experiments have shown that even with basic technology, large numbers of people can move very heavy objects. They didn't need anti-gravity devices, they needed clever engineering and an efficient workforce. The famous pyramid builders' village found near Giza shows that these were not slaves, but skilled laborers, well-fed and organized, working for a revered pharaoh and participating in a grand national project. This level of social organization and long-term planning is a testament to their administrative and logistical skills. What about the impossible cuts and drills in hard stones like granite? Archaeologists propose that the Egyptians used a combination of persistent effort, abrasive materials, and specific tools. While copper tools are softer than granite, they could be used with abrasive sands, like quartz sand, which is much harder than copper, to grind and saw through stone. By continually refreshing the abrasive material, even copper saws could cut through granite over time. For drilling, a similar method would be used. A copper tube, rotated with a bow drill, combined with sand or emery powder, could cut perfect circular holes. It's a slow process, but with enough time and labor, it's entirely possible. Recreations of these techniques have successfully replicated ancient Egyptian cuts and drills, demonstrating that no lost technology beyond what we understand was necessary. Regarding their advanced knowledge in astronomy, mathematics, and medicine, mainstream science argues that this was the product of a long and stable civilization. Egypt enjoyed thousands of years of relative peace and prosperity, allowing for the development of specialized knowledge.
Scribes recorded observations, priests studied the stars, and physicians meticulously documented their findings. This knowledge was passed down through generations, building a rich intellectual tradition. Their calendar, for instance, wasn't handed to them, it evolved. The observation of Sirius appearing before the Nile flood was a powerful natural marker. Over centuries, they refined their understanding of these cycles. Their medical practices, while sometimes including ritual and magic, also showed a keen understanding of anatomy, gained through practices like mummification and treating injuries. It was a process of trial and error, observation, and methodical record-keeping, much like the development of medicine in other ancient cultures, only perhaps more extensive and organized. As for the dendrolite and other artistic depictions that ancient alien theorists interpret as technology, Egyptologists firmly state these are symbolic and religious representations. The ancient Egyptians had a rich mythology and a deeply spiritual worldview. Their art was not meant to be a literal blueprint for machines, but a way to express complex religious beliefs, the powers of their gods, and the cycles of life and creation. To strip these images of their symbolic context is to misunderstand the very core of ancient Egyptian thought and culture. And the notion of gods ruling for thousands of years before human pharaohs, this is understood as a mythical period, a way for the Egyptians to describe a divine origin for their kingship and civilization, linking their earthly rulers directly to the cosmos. As the creators, it's a common feature in many ancient origin myths, providing legitimacy and a sense of sacred history, rather than a literal historical account of extraterrestrial governors. The conventional view doesn't diminish the achievements of the ancient Egyptians. It celebrates them as a testament to what humanity can achieve through intelligence, perseverance, and collective effort. It argues that attributing these feats to aliens underestimates human capabilities and denies the ancient Egyptians their rightful credit for building one of the most enduring and impressive civilizations in history. It emphasizes that while some questions remain challenging, the most likely answers lie within the realm of human potential, not extraterrestrial intervention. So, we've explored the amazing achievements of ancient Egypt and looked at both the ancient alien theories and the conventional archaeological explanations. But even with the careful, evidence-based arguments from mainstream science, the idea of ancient aliens helping the Egyptians or any ancient civilization continues to capture the imaginations of millions around the world. Why is this theory so persistent? What is its lasting appeal? It goes beyond just historical facts. It touches on something deeper within the human mind. One of the biggest reasons for the theory's popularity is its ability to offer grand, sweeping answers to challenging questions. When faced with the sheer scale and precision of the Great Pyramid or the enigmatic wisdom of the pharaohs, the simple explanation of human ingenuity and hard work can sometimes feel insufficient for some people. The ancient alien theory provides a more dramatic and exciting narrative. It's an explanation that says it's not just human genius, it's cosmic intervention. This bigger story can be more emotionally satisfying, providing a sense of awe and wonder that conventional explanations, even while factual, sometimes lack. It also taps into humanity's age-old fascination with the unknown and the extraterrestrial. For centuries, people have looked up at the stars and wondered, are we alone? The ancient alien theory suggests not only that we are not alone, but that they've been here before, perhaps even shaping our very history. This idea is incredibly powerful. It changes our place in the universe, suggesting that humanity might be part of a larger intergalactic story. It's a compelling thought that resonates with our deepest curiosities about life beyond Earth. Another factor is the natural human desire to find simple, unifying explanations for complex phenomena. The ancient alien theory provides a master key that can unlock many different mysteries across different ancient cultures, from the pyramids of Egypt to the Nazca lines in Peru or Stonehenge in England. If advanced visitors were present in one place, it's easy to imagine them being present in others, offering a single, overarching explanation for numerous seemingly inexplicable ancient wonders. This can feel more elegant and satisfying to some than a collection of separate, often detailed and technical archaeological explanations for each site. Furthermore, the theory often appeals to a sense of rebellion against established authority. When mainstream archaeologists present their findings, some people might view this as the official story, and they might be wary of official stories. The ancient alien theory, often presented by independent researchers or popular media, can feel like a hidden truth that the establishment doesn't want you to know. This outsider perspective can be very attractive, creating a sense of being privy to special knowledge, a narrative that empowers the individual against what they perceive as rigid or closed-minded academic institutions. There's also the element of mystery and the thrill of discovery. While archaeologists are constantly making new discoveries and refining their understanding, their work can sometimes be seen as slow and meticulous. The ancient alien theory, on the other hand, often presents sudden, mind-bending insights, offering quick resolutions to long-standing puzzles. It keeps the mystery alive in a very engaging way, constantly suggesting that there's more to the story, more secrets to uncover. The visual aspect plays a huge role too. Popular documentaries and television shows about ancient aliens often use dramatic music, stunning visuals of ancient sites, and compelling storytelling to present their case. These productions are designed to be entertaining and thought-provoking, and they do an excellent job of making the theories accessible and exciting to a wide audience, sometimes more so than dry academic papers or textbooks. Finally, the theory feeds into a broader cultural narrative about human potential and limits. If ancient humans with seemingly primitive tools achieved such wonders, it either means our ancestors were far more ingenious than we give them credit for, or they had help. For some, the idea of external help is less limiting to our current understanding of what primitive humanity could achieve, making the leap to advanced constructions seem less daunting. It's a way of saying that even in our distant past, we were connected to something extraordinary, something beyond our current earthly existence. In essence, the ancient alien theory is more than just a historical argument. It's a modern myth, a compelling story that speaks to our deepest human desires for meaning, wonder, and connection to something larger than ourselves. It allows us to dream big, to question everything, and to keep looking up at the stars, wondering what else might be out there and what secrets our past truly holds. As our journey through the mysteries of ancient Egypt and the ancient alien theory comes to a close, we are left with a powerful sense of wonder and a set of deeply compelling questions. We have walked among the colossal stones, deciphered the symbols in their art, and explored the profound knowledge that defined this remarkable civilization. On one side, we have the ancient alien theorists, who present a narrative of cosmic visitors, advanced technology, and shared knowledge, suggesting that humanity's greatest achievements were perhaps not entirely our own. On the other, we have the conventional archaeologists and historians who steadfastly champion human ingenuity, persistence, and the gradual accumulation of wisdom over millennia, crediting the Egyptians themselves for every incredible feat. Both perspectives offer something valuable. The ancient alien theory encourages us to challenge assumptions, to look beyond the obvious, and to consider possibilities that expand our understanding of what might have happened in our distant past. It fuels our imagination and keeps alive the age-old question of whether we are alone in the universe, and if not, what impact other intelligences might have had on our journey. It asks us to consider that perhaps some of the most profound mysteries are still right in front of us, waiting for a different kind of explanation. Conversely, the conventional archaeological view provides a grounded, evidence-based approach. It celebrates the incredible capacity of human beings to overcome challenges, to organize, to innovate, and to create lasting wonders with the tools and knowledge available to them. It meticulously pieces together clues from excavations, texts, and scientific analyses, building a coherent picture of a civilization that rose to extraordinary heights through its own efforts. This perspective reminds us that even with simple tools, human minds are capable of truly astonishing achievements, and that our ancestors deserve full credit for their genius. So, which view is correct? The truth, perhaps, lies in the ongoing debate itself. The fact that these discussions continue, that new evidence is always being sought, and that different interpretations clash and inspire new research is what makes the study of ancient Egypt so alive and exciting. Whether you lean toward the extraterrestrial explanation or firmly stand with human ingenuity, the journey of discovery is paramount. It's about the questions we ask, the ways we seek answers, and the stories we tell ourselves about our origins and our place in the universe. The legacy of ancient Egypt is not just in its pyramids and temples. It's in the enduring questions these structures provoke. It's in the way they continue to challenge our understanding of history, technology, and even consciousness. They are a mirror reflecting our own curiosity, our desire to know who we are, where we come from, and what we are truly capable of. They stand as a testament to the powerful human urge to build, to learn, and to leave a mark that transcends time. As we leave the sands of Egypt, the echoes of its past continue to resonate. The stars still twinkle overhead, just as they did for the pharaohs, inviting us to ponder the vastness of the cosmos and our place within it. The mysteries of ancient Egypt remain, not as problems to be definitively solved and filed away, but as invitations to continue exploring, questioning, and dreaming.
For in the heart of these ancient enigmas lies the perpetual human quest for knowledge, a quest that ensures the story of humanity and perhaps its connection to the cosmos will forever be a journey of endless discovery, echoing across time and space, waiting for the next answer or the next question.